If you remember that I squared is -1, you can solve any of these powers of I. All right, so first of all, I just equals I. So I to the first is just I. So I to the first is equal to I. I squared is equal to what? -1. I to the third can be written as I squared times I. I'm just going to write it out, which will give you -1 times I, which is -I. So I to the third is -I. I to the fourth is I squared times I squared, which is -1 times -1, which is, what's -1 times -1? +1. These are always going to be your 4 answers right here. When you're simplifying I, it's one of these 4 answers. It doesn't matter what power you raise I to. It's either going to equal +I, it's either going to equal +I, -1, -I, or +1, okay? So now that we know that, I to the fourth equals 1, then I can rewrite these as, if I know I to the fourth equals 1, then I'm going to break this apart to I to the fourth times I. Because I know that I to the fourth is 1, then that's going to give me just 1 times I, which is going to be I. I to the sixth is I to the fourth times I squared. Again, anytime you have a power of 4 or a factor of 4, it's going to equal 1. I squared is -1. 1 times -1 is -1. And then we get down to I to the seventh. So again, I'm going to split that apart to I to the fourth. And then I squared times I to the fourth is 1. I squared is -1. I is I. So what do you think you get when you multiply these 3 numbers together? -I. What? Look at you. Noticing a pattern here. So then my next one, I to the eighth, is just I to the fourth times I to the fourth. I'm writing it out the long way, but I'll never do this again. Which is I to the eighth. Which is 1 times 1, which is going to give you 1. So like Elijah said, it just repeats. It just repeats over and over again. It goes I, -1, -I, 1. I, -1, -I, 1. So you probably know the answers to this column. What do you think my answers are going to be? So I to the 9th is going to equal I to the 10th, -1. I to the 11th, -I. And I to the 12th, +1. All right, so let's talk about how to simplify this. Higher powers of I. So what I want you to keep in mind is that every time we hit a factor of 4, it reset. So I to the 4th is 1. I to the 8th is 1. I to the 12th is 1. I to the 16th is going to be 1. I to the 20th is going to equal 1. Every time we add 4 to the power, it recycles and it equals 1. So the first thing you want to do is find the highest factor of 4 and take that out. Okay? So go ahead and copy down these 3 examples. I to the power of 29, I to the power of 67, I to the power of 42, and I to the power of 24. So we're going to simplify these four. And keep in mind, our answers will either be I, -1, -I, or +1. Those are the only four answers you can give me. It's one of those four. And we have to figure out which one. So, counting by fours, what's the highest factor of 4? Let me write my factors of 4 up on the board real quick. Factors of 4. So we got 4, 8, 12, 16. Keep going. 20.
24, 28, 30.
We'll go up to, we got to get up to about 67. So 36, so that's 6 times 6. Now what about 6 times 7? Wait, but that's 6 times 6. 6 times 7 would be 40. Oh wait, what am I doing? What's happening? 4. This is 4 times 9. This is 4 times 9. So what's 4 times 10? 40. Sorry, y'all. And then 4 times 11?
44.
48. Keep going. And one more. All right. So what you're going to do, so you see how we have 29? What's the highest we can get without going past 29 would be what? 28. So we're going to separate that apart to I-28 times I. So I'm going to split this apart to I-28 times I. And the reason why is because this just equals 1. Okay? Anytime the power is a factor of 4, it just equals 1. So what I really have is just 1 times I, which is just going to be what? I. So that would be my answer. That's it. Questions about how we did that? Okay, 67. How high can I get without going past 67? 64. So I'm going to break that apart to I-64. And then how many do I have left? 3. Now, you might get confused with this. You may not remember what I to the third power is. So what you can do is break that apart to I squared, because you should know what I squared is. So we know that this 64, this just equals 1. That just cancels out. So that cancels out. So I'm really just left with I squared times I, which is -1 times I, which is going to give me what? Negative I. That's my answer. All right, let's look at 42. How high can I go without going past 42? 40. So we're going to break that apart to I-40 times I squared. So we know that I-40, again, that cancels out. That just gives me 1. And we should know that I squared is equal to what? -1. That's my answer. And then lastly, 24. Well, that's the number in our list, right? So what does that just equal? 1. That's it. So I'm about to give you 4 more for you to do by yourself. So let's do 4 more. All right, so I want you to do I to the power of 27, I to the power of, I'm going to go higher, 82, I to the power of 51. Those 3. See what you get. So see if you can simplify these. So this would be number 5. And I just made these up, so I don't know the answer, y'all. See if you can simplify that. Go a little higher with my list. So this is probably what I would do when you're working on these, on the homework. Just write your fact. If you need to, you may just know what it is without making the list of 4s. But every time you hit a power of 4 equals 1, you reset. Okay, so 27, how high can we go? So we're going to take out 24. That cancels it out. So I just have I to the third left. I to the third equals I squared times I. So you should get negative I. Raise your hand if you had negative I. All right, 82, we can get all the way up to what? 80, yep. So we have I to the 80 times I squared. I to the 80 is just 1. So we really just have I squared left. And what is I squared? Negative 1. All right, lastly, 51. How high can we go? 48. So we got 48. So that's just like, that's going to give us the same answer as number 5. So we have I to the power of 48 times I cubed, which again is going to give you negative I. Wait a minute. Go back, y'all. Go back. 5 is wrong. What's wrong with 5? Let me go back, fix that. Is it I? Negative I. Yeah, let's go back. Because we have I squared times I, which is negative 1 times I. So that's negative I. Which means number 7 is also going to be negative I. All right, last 2 questions that are in your homework because I want you to be able to finish it. Even though I pushed the due date to Tuesday, I want you to try to have it finished over the weekend. So there are 2 more questions. This is a review. We've already talked about it, but I just want to go back through it again. let's practice simplifying radicals with a negative. So I want you to simplify the square root of negative 24 and the square root of negative 64. Because that's a couple of questions in the homework. So remember, whenever you see a negative, the first thing you need to do is take out the negative. So we're going to take out the negative. And then we need to find the largest perfect square that goes into 24. So does anyone know what that perfect square would be? Let me list the perfect squares. Let's do that too. I had them on the board and then I erased it. So let's just do the first 10. It is 4, 9, 16, 25, 36. Okay, that's enough. Which one of these numbers can go into 24? Who said 16? Divide into. Let me clarify. What's the largest one of these terms that divides evenly into 24? 4. 4 times what is 24? 6. So we're going to break. So this is division. So this is different from here. This would be subtraction. But now we're talking about dividing into. So that's a different operation there. So we're going to break it apart to -1 times 4 times 6. So we know the square root of -1 is I. The square root of 4 is 2. 6 cannot be simplified, so it has to stay. And that would be your answer. Now 64 is a perfect square. So that breaks apart to -1 times 64, which is just going to give you 8i. This is your I, and this is 8. All right, that's it for today. Good work, y'all. I will grade those skills checks, get those back to you. Use this time to start working on homework 2. You can get most of it done. Tuesday, we're going to collect and grade.